To somebody and say, what can we hope?
What can we hope for?
You make me see it. So I had you in mind when I was preparing this first part of the sermon, and I was going to be sure that Marissa got it recorded so that she could get it to you. But you're here, so you can be here, right? Because I read a story this week, you'll understand in just a moment, a story about a woman who was going out of town for a while, and she made all of her arrangements for her trip. Her flight, her hotel, her rented car, she had her whole itinerary, and of course she had to make arrangements for her two beloved pets, her two cats. Now, if any of you watch or follow Gisela on Facebook, you know Rusty is always there on her side and right by her side, beloved cats. And no, the cats were not going with her. So she had to arrange for someone to take care of her cats while she was away. And so she did what a lot of people do. She found a teenager in the neighborhood and she said, okay, and made arrangements, and that person was going to come in and take care of her cats. So everything was set. And so she went on her trip. She went on her travels. Well, you know, sometimes your itinerary is all made out, and then you travel a lot, so you know. All of a sudden, something changes. And so she found herself coming home a day early. Somebody should say, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
She came home, and she came in, and she walked into the kitchen, and the first thing she sees, that the cat food dishes are empty. And she looks further and she sees that the cat's water bowls also are empty. And then she gets to the litter box. Well, you know, something had to be full, and guess what? It was the litter box that was full. To top it all off, she found a can of soda which she could identify had come from her very own fridge that was empty, on the ground, crushed, kicked up under the sideboard in the kitchen. She had hoped that all would go well while she was away. But the evidence points to someone didn't keep their word. Someone didn't do their job. Now, I'm saying someone because it could be the person that she hired, or it could be that she didn't do a good job vetting the person that she hired. She got the wrong person, obviously. Someone may have put the very lives of her cats in danger. I don't think anything happened to them, so we can rest assured so. But let me tell you, if the young person that she had hired had any hopes of getting paid at the end of all of that, well, good luck with that. Would you pay somebody for not doing what you asked them to do? So today we're focusing on hope. Hope is the first candle of the season of Advent. And it comes to us to call us beyond ourselves, to something that is beyond who we are in our own person. Hope automatically suggests that there is something at play that is beyond our control. How many of you like to be in control of things going on, right? Oh, none of you? Oh, because I thought most of us, right? We mostly like to be in control of what's going on, but simply the word hope suggests to us that we hope things are going to turn out for the good, but in the word hoping for, it suggests we don't quite have the control that we wish we had, that we want to have. There are things that are beyond our control. Jesus was well aware of that. In the words of Mark, the 13th chapter, he is letting us know, and you see, of course, that we start in the middle of the chapter where we start our reading, so I have to share with you what happened just before, because before that, Jesus is telling the disciples, as they were marveling at this beautiful temple in Jerusalem, and he said to them, not one stone will remain upon another. This is all coming down. What? How can this be? Not one stone left upon Now, it turns out that Jerusalem was attacked in 70 AD, and that in fact the temple was torn down. And most scholars believe actually that this section of the gospel was the reason that the gospel was written at all. It was written not before but after the time, at a time when the people who were gathered together in community felt such a sense of hopelessness, such a sense of loss, because their city was lying in ruins and everything was destroyed, and the temple, which represented the presence of God in their midst, it stood no longer. It was no longer there. And so in that moment of hopelessness, this gospel comes to let them know about something about hope. I don't know about you, but in the little video that we saw, a lot of the scenes were from my hometown city of New York. And I think about moments of absolute hopelessness, such as on 9/11, when the Twin Towers were attacked, the World Trade Center came down. Nobody could have imagined that. Jim and Karen getting ready to move to Florida, and you're in the capital, Jim, experiencing the same kind of situation as the Pentagon was attacked. We could never imagine that. There's no way that we could even imagine what would life be like if those things happened, and yet they happened. And Jesus goes on to say to them, false prophets will arise and tell you things. False messiahs will come and make you promises. There will be all kinds of confusion. Anybody have confusion in their lives? It's all part of the mix. But look where our gospel starts this morning. If you don't have the context, it just comes in this place, and it says, the first words, the first line of our gospel text today says, but in those days, after that suffering, which is why we have to go back and see what was the suffering that was there. This is coming after. And so when you say the words after that suffering, it takes you to a moment and say, oh, well now, maybe the worst is past. After all kinds of calamities had befallen the people, after all kinds of suffering had taken place, after hope has been lost, things have to get better now, don't they? We've got to the lowest place. Maybe not yet. Because even the heavens seem to get in on the act now. Even the sun and the moon and the stars, who have simple job descriptions, right? Shine your light. Even they will be falling into darkness. Things won't be normal. But then, in the midst of all of that, it tells us the Son of Man does appear in their midst. And the Son of Man appearing signals to the people of God, the people who are going through all this turmoil, that all hope is not yet been lost. God is still with us. Emmanuel. Emmanuel is the reason for this season of Advent. It means God is with us. It gives us something to hold on to. And so in this Advent season, we entered into a time of renewed hope. And we all need some hope, don't we?
Yes.
I sure hope so.
Amen.
My friend Jim Wallace was arrested on Thursday morning. Don't worry, it's happened to him before. His crime? Praying out loud in public. Now, I have been following Jim Wallace for a long time. I've been following him so long, I've been following him longer than Facebook thinks they invoked or invented the idea of following somebody, because Facebook didn't exist when I started following Jim Wallace, because I started to read the magazine that his community puts out. Jim Wallace is the progressive evangelical pastor of the Sojourners community. They have been living together in community in the poorest neighborhoods of Washington, D.C. for years now. They moved there from Detroit, from one place to another. And they struggle while they're there to live out Matthew 25 directly, answering the very issues that Jesus raised as we spoke last week on Christ the King Sunday, when he said to the goats and to the sheep, when you did it to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it to me. So they struggle to live that out, to live among the people in their community. And as the head of this ministry, he used to tell people, I don't know if he still does, but I know he used to tell people that everyone in their community received the same wage. It didn't matter what position you had. So he, as the CEO, as the pastor, got paid the same as the administrative assistants did. And everybody, and people were asking him about it and say, well, that's amazing. Are you sure that's true? And he said, yes, it's true. Oh, no, wait. I forgot the janitor. He doesn't get paid the same wage. And it's like, oh yeah, you see, so not everybody's getting that wage. No, they said that's right, because the janitor, our custodian, you see, he has a family that he has to take care of. So we pay him more because he needs to take care of his family. That's the kind of gospel metrics that they were working with. Well, Jim got arrested along with 11 other pastors, and I can't help but think that 12 pastors together is somehow symbolic of the disciples coming together. All of them wearing their stoles and wearing robes as they gathered together. And they wore not only their regular stoles, but they wore also stoles of cut burlap, to remind themselves of a time of mourning and a time of great sorrow. They were arrested while they were praying. They were arrested while they were reading from over 2,000 verses in our Holy Bible. Verses that talk to us about how God says we should treat the poor and the oppressed in our midst who are among us. In fact, they've created a hashtag. You can do hashtag 2,000 verses, 2000 verses, and see the verses that they're talking about. So why did they get arrested? They were praying in the Hart Senate office building in Washington, D.C. to protest the proposed new tax reform law that now looks like it's going forward, because it will have such a drastic impact on people who can least afford it, while giving the wealthiest folks the biggest tax break. For many Christians who take the Bible seriously, those 2,000 verses mean that we have a responsibility to keep watch and to speak out, to care for those who are vulnerable in our midst. And the new tax reform represents a significant reduction of hope for many people at the lowest rungs of our society. Jim Wallace has inspired me across the years with this quote. He talks about hope. He says, hope is believing in spite of the evidence and then watching the evidence change. Sounds to me more like the definition of a miracle. And maybe hope and miracles are intertwined in some particular way. Did you know that hope and miracles both take work? Miracles don't just happen, they take our involvement and our engagement. Hope doesn't come easy. Our Bible study, when we gathered together on Wednesday night, looking at Acts chapter 12, where Peter was released from the prison, what a miracle. But all of a sudden he finds himself on the street, and the angel that has been guiding him leaves him. Why? Because the rest is up to him and the community that prayed for him, and he had to make his way now into that place. It's an interesting story. We had some fun with it on Wednesday night. There's work left to do for the community, and it's hard work, but it's good work. And in order for the miracle to be completed, in order for hope to be restored, the community has to come together in the name of Jesus and say, we are going to make this happen. So, for us, well, you know the singer Pink, Right? Anybody know Pink? Her new song? What's her new song? Her new song is, what about us? What about us? She asks that question in a serious and powerful way. What about us? What are the things that we are hoping for in this season? And I don't mean what are the things you're hoping to find under the tree on Christmas morning, okay? I mean, you can hope for that if you want. That's good. The kids will definitely be into that as you're hoping for something under the Christmas tree. But I mean something more. What are you hoping for? Is it related to work? Is it related to health? I can imagine. There's a lot of hopes that you are holding very closely to right now. Maybe you're hoping for more quality time with family. Been working so hard, there hasn't been enough time to spend with family. Maybe you're looking for a deeper sense of spiritual commitment, hoping that God will show you a way. Maybe a stronger sense of, what am I here for? If you remember the picture in the video we just saw about the man next to the stack of papers, and it just came up and up and up and up above his head, and that's what he was working on. Is that what we desired? Or what about the person who jumps off into this, looks like an abyss, and is falling into the abyss but has a parachute? You know, what are we hoping for in our way of living life? Me? I hope that our congregation will take seriously our call to renewal of ministry in this community. I hope that we will take some time with a survey and fill it out front and back so that when our leadership team gets formed and gets ready to review them, that we'll have some information that will guide us, that will direct us. You don't have to be a member of the church to fill one of these out, by the way, so don't leave and say, well, I'm not a member. This is for anybody who comes and who is part of this life, the life of this congregation. You're welcome to fill one of these out and help us. We need a bigger cross-section. I hope that we will use this tool in a way that will tell us something so that we can move forward. Because I need some hope. Marissa, I've shared with you. I need some hope. She wasn't able to be here on the day that we voted. We had 45 people in worship. Now that's not a huge number, but it's good for us. But when we came time to our congregational meeting and we voted, we only had 17 people who voted. And 13 voted for and 4 voted against. And so it took me back. And I had to stop and say, why were 45 people here, but only 17 voted? That scared me. That disturbed me. And it's my hope that we will make a decision to say we are going forward so that we can make things happen. I hope, in the spirit of Jim Wallace's definition of the word, in spite of any evidence to the contrary, that we will, with Isaiah, see that we are the people of God, called to this place for a particular time and a particular purpose and a particular mission. That we would be with Isaiah in this place and God would show us the favor of God, that we will wake up, as Jesus directs 3 times in the gospel. He says, keep awake, because you don't know when the moment is coming. Our vice president of our synod, Cheryl Stewart, she has a different take on it. She doesn't say keep awake. She says, stay woke, people. Stay woke. Stay awake. And then we can pray and say, God, change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. I want to be more like you. Let us pray that. Let us sing that. And let God give us the desires of our heart, that hope may increase and grow. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.